I think I want to call Bernadette Hansen up here. There's no way that somebody can get away with a trip as long as hers was without us having her come up and ring the bell and tell us just how long was this trip, Bernadette?
We're practicing.
Couple your skills.
Can I do it from here?
You can, but you're still going to have to go over to ring the bell. You can do
Well, just so everybody knows, this is my life, so traveling is what I do the best at, rather than the Army. I was gone this time 67 days. And as you know, I lost my husband, so I try to be gone for the holidays. So I left October, and I got home on January 6th. And I did South America. And I was with my friends from South Africa, England, Phuket, Minnesota. And we have a group. We don't go as a group, but we have a group that we travel all the time. And I am the oldest on the group. It was very enjoyable. I love South America. I've been down there many, many times. And I was just telling Jim that South America has really changed, and with socialism and so much, schools were closed. So I just saw it. I started down in South America in 1970 when I originally started, started traveling, but I appreciate it and I love it. And but I will be home this year. I'm not leaving until for 120 days now. Maybe I'll live on the ship. I'd like to ring the bell, and I'd like to ring also for Travel Smoke.
Yeah. Thank you, Bernadette. Good to have you back. Well, as long as we're talking about travel, we can't let Stephanie get away with why she wasn't here last week. So come on up, Stephanie. This is a travel member assessment.
So I just got back from my first trip to New York, and it was great. And my son and I went to watch my daughter perform in Carnegie Hall. She was selected for that National Honor Choir I told you about. And she got a featured part in it, so it was really exciting. So that's what I did. I'll ring the bell.
Any other announcements from the club? Nick Smaldino was going to talk to us today about the endowment report, the endowment, and give us an endowment report, but he couldn't make it today, so we'll have the endowment report next week. But Scott?
Question from the floor about a membership mixer. I thought there was coming.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's why
That's why Richard has his hand up. Thank you.
not only a membership mixer, it's a social for members as well. So you're all invited this coming Tuesday, 5:30, Sam's Deli, for a Valentine's Mixer Social. Bring any prospective members with you. Bring your significant other. And we're going to have a good time. A little Prosecco will be served this time. And the food is always great, and the camaraderie is even better. So hope to see all of you this coming Tuesday.
Okay, if there are no more announcements, I think it's time for the raffle.
Oh boy.
Jody, you get to pick the winning ticket, so Stephanie will bring that up.
Did everybody get a chance to participate?
Well, we gave them a second chance to buy a ticket, so.
All right, we have 84510 4.
Wouldn't you know, these carpetbaggers from out of town come in and win our prizes.
What? I know you.
Okay, he won, this pack of tickets to Regal Cinemas. I hope we got Regal Cinemas over there. You'll find one.
I'm hearing that.
Okay. All right. We'll see you right after the meeting.
Movie tickets?
Jody, I said I'd get you on a little early, so I think we will. So Sharon, do you want to come up and do the introduction?
Thank you. So, today we get to welcome Jody Hudson, who will be speaking about the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation. Jody was born to an ill-prepared single mother and was placed in foster care until she was adopted. This entry into life formed Jody's servant's heart and empathy for others, traits that she has passed along to her son Garrett and daughter Alex. Jody will tell you that being a mother is her proudest achievement in life. After a long career in retail, Jody left the for-profit world and entered into the nonprofit sector. For 12 years, Jody worked as the operations director for Catholic Charities, the Diocese of Fresno, and upon the death of her 22-year-old daughter in March of 2018, Jody founded the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation with the acronym AHLF. She worked both full-time positions until September of 2019, when she made AHLF her full-time career. Jody was awarded the Marjorie Mason Center Top 10 Professional Businesswomen Award in 2018 for her efforts with both organizations. Jody guides AHLF's work through advocacy, education, and awareness. She collaborates with local and national organizations to further AHLF's mission. She has also written a soon-to-be-published book about Alex's journey with Lyme disease and uses this platform to provide hope and healing to those struggling with this debilitating illness. Through AHLF and its work, Jody is fulfilling her promise to her daughter. And now, Jody, thank you for joining us today.
So that was really funny. I forgot to put my phone on silent, and I think my son heard his name because this call is for my son. But anyway, so thank you so much for inviting me here, and goodness gracious, Peter, lights, camera, action. I love this. I feel like I'm in Hollywood.
We're practicing for some projects we have coming up.
Ah, okay. So I'm going to keep my phone here because I have a tendency to ramble. So 20 minutes about? Okay. All right. So I need to add to that bio because I'm an overachiever and I just can't sit still. In December, I went to work for the Girl Scouts. So I'm the development director for the Girl Scouts of Central California South, which blends beautifully the work that I do with the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation and with the Girl Scouts of all their outdoor activities and whatnot. So I'm super excited to be there. But today, I'm talking about the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation. I want to talk to you a little bit about Lyme disease. I want to talk to you about my daughter's journey. And then I want to talk to you about currently what I'm doing with her foundation and the legacy that I'm carrying on her behalf. So Lyme disease. How many people have heard about Lyme disease and know a little bit about it? Good. I did not know about Lyme disease in May of 2017 when my daughter was diagnosed with it. I had to look it up in the dictionary. I thought it was something that happened out in the East Coast. But from May 2017 to today, it's become an epidemic. It's in all 50 states in the United States. And it is here in the Central Valley. And people didn't think about that couple years ago, but I can attest to you, especially since I've formed this organization, I have people daily and weekly reaching out to me from the Central Valley saying, hey, I know this person, they just got bit, or my family member just found out that they have Lyme disease. How can you help me? So it is an epidemic, and that is part of my mission, is to really make sure that I talk to people about the prevention, I talk to people about the awareness, and just what we can do here together in the community to help those that are struggling from it. So Lyme disease is a bacterial infection. You receive it when you are bit by a tick. It can also be, your pets can carry it, so they can be tick carriers. A lot of times people don't even realize that they have been bitten by a tick. Only 35% of those that actually have Lyme disease recall the day, the moment that they were bit by a tick. If you do get bit by a tick, 35% of those individuals get a bullseye rash, so that's one of the identifying symptoms right off the bat. But again, most people don't realize that they have Lyme disease until it has been in their body for quite some time, and then it's chronic Lyme disease, and that was in my daughter's case. So the first preliminary symptoms of Lyme disease are flu-like symptoms, joint pain, achiness, just feel like you're out of sorts, you can't get out of bed in the morning. That's the first stage of it. The next stage of it is a little bit more debilitating, where you can have digestive problems, you can have other issues arising around it. Because it's a bacterial infection, it can impact every organ in your body. So think about that for a moment. It's like, wow, not only your digestive, your body, once it crosses into the brain, you can have brain inflammation, brain fog, and then if it's chronic, then that's when it's really debilitating, and that was in my daughter's case. So once you actually do know that you have Lyme disease, this becomes another problem. How do you treat it? People respond in different ways to Lyme disease, because when you get bit by a tick, that tick can be a dirty tick, and it can carry multiple different co-infections. My daughter, for instance, had 4 different co-infections. She had Bartonella, she had Babesia, she had Rocky Mountain fever, and I can't even remember what the other one was right now. Each of those presented in different ways. So when you go to a Lyme literate doctor, they have to look and see what is the most pressing symptom, what is really bothering you the most. They start with that, and then they work their way through it. Lyme disease is not like having cancer, where with cancer you go through chemotherapy. There's a tried and true symptom. There's a tried and true treatment for it. With Lyme disease, it's a variety of different treatments, and you just have to figure out what treatment works best with your body. And so it's, right now in the medical world, they're really trying hard to do a lot more scientific research with Lyme. They are trying to, get better diagnostic testing, and then also they're trying to really find a cure for this. And that's really tough, but we're really trying to pour a lot of money into the research and the science behind trying to find a cure for Lyme disease. So that's just a little snippet of Lyme disease. You have brochures on your tables there that go into a little bit more about it. So I don't want to talk to you more about that. I really want to talk to you now about my daughter's journey and how she was impacted by Lyme disease. So in 5th grade, my daughter started experiencing joint pain. She started experiencing some of the beginning symptoms of Lyme disease, and that's when she had to basically stop playing sports. She was an amazing athlete. She did all the sports that a young child likes to do: soccer, softball, cheer, dance, you name it, she was doing it. And she started having this inflammation and joint pain. So we started going to Children's Hospital, and they were running tests. They had to see several specialists, and this went on for about a year or so. And what they decided at the end of all this was she was a medical mystery. There was no talk about Lyme disease back then. There wasn't any talk about, a real help for her. She basically just had to suffer with this joint pain and this inflammation, and they kept telling us, we know that she has something, but it's probably going to be discovered, it's going to be found later on with testing, and basically suck it up and try and move on with life. And that's what Alex did. So she couldn't run anymore. I mean, imagine in 5th grade, you can't run, you can't play sports. It was really hard on her, and she just kept battling through. She started developing digestive problems. Remember we talked earlier about, you know, the different symptoms with Lyme, and when you start having digestive problems, it really causes a lot of issues, obviously, within your body. So she started having digestive problems, she started having food allergy issues, and this was in her high school years. So fast forward to her senior year, and she was able to graduate from high school. She had a full ride to UCLA, but she wasn't able to accept that because she was just really starting to deteriorate in front of my eyes. She weighed 120 pounds when she started this journey. When she passed away in March of 2018, she weighed 57 pounds. That's what Lyme does to you. It attacks your body. And when you don't have people that really know how to help you with your child, it's very, it's hard, it's rough. So we did the best that we could do. We kept still fighting for answers. We knew that there was a reason for her body behaving in the way that it was, and we were not going to stop until we found out what it was. And so my daughter, on her own, in May of 2017, found a doctor down in LA, and this was our 40th doctor now. So we, remember, 5th grade, started the process. Now she's a freshman at Fresno City College, and she on her own is trying to figure out what is wrong with her because the doctors weren't able to figure out what was wrong with her. And the 40th doctor said, Mrs. Hudson, everything that Alex is describing, we think that she could have Lyme disease. And that's when I said, Lyme disease? What the heck is Lyme disease? This was May of 2017. Well, now I could be Dr. Lyme because I've learned so much about it. But, so yeah, she was tested for Lyme, and sure enough, she had it. That began our cross-country journey from May 2017 until she passed away in March of 2018. I spent $80,000 of my own money out of pocket because this is the other thing with Lyme disease. A lot of insurances don't cover treatment because they still think it's experimental treatment. They think that, oh, just take 30 days of antibiotics and you'll be fine. I can tell you, with all these people out there with chronic Lyme, 30 days of antibiotics is not fine. It doesn't even begin to help solve the problem. These people are in crisis. So we, for almost a year, tried to get her better. We went to the top hospitals, the top universities. Nobody could help her. Every different treatment that they tried her on, it just wasn't helping. 10 years of a bacterial infection had just deteriorated her body. So when I knew that Alex was not going to turn the corner on this and that God had other plans, she and I had a conversation, and she said, Mom, she said, I want you to carry on my fight. She goes, I'm trying to fight from the bed here for those that could not fight for themselves, and for those that medical community and regular community doesn't believe in them. She goes, I need you to be my voice. I need you to carry on my fight. And so I made her a promise that day that I was going to continue her fight. On March 24th, 2018, at 4:23 p.m., Alex gave me a parting gift. From her bed, surrounded by myself and 4 of my amazing friends, Alex lifted her head up off the pillow. She looked up to the heavens. She had this great big smile on her face, and then she laid her head back down and she passed. And I say it was a parting gift because for those of you that are parents and you've lost your child and you don't have that closure, I don't know how you move forward. I at least had that closure with Alex, and she was giving me a sign right then and there that, Mom, I'm going to be okay. You know what you need to do. Move forward, and it's going to be okay. And so I had that choice right then and there. I could have gone light, or I could have gone dark. It would have been really easy just to lay in bed and say, you know what, forget this, I'm done. You know, God, what have you done for me lately? You just took my daughter. Life isn't working out for me. I'm just going to forget about this and just not get out of bed. Or I chose the light. That's what I decided to do. I chose the light, and I kept that promise to my daughter. So she passed in March of 2018. in June, I petitioned for a 501c3 named after my daughter, the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation. And with that foundation, what we are doing right now is we are raising funds for research, because I want to make sure that we are helping those that are still struggling out there that cannot figure out how to cure this disease. So we are raising funds for research. We've already raised $50,000, and we have co-sponsored a grant with Global Lyme Alliance out of New York, and it's named after Alex, so her name will always be attached to science and research. We have also partnered with the Girl Scouts here locally. That's why I'm now working with the Girl Scouts. And the cool thing about this is here in the Central Valley, our Girl Scouts are collaborating with the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, and we are creating Lyme curriculum that's going to be rolled out nationally. So the patch, because all the girls are into patches, the patch will have the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation logo on it, along with the Girl Scout logo on it. And that's going to be rolling out this May. May is Lyme Awareness Month, and so we have a lot of great exciting things planned centered around the Girl Scouts with this Lyme curriculum. We also, part of our funds from our fundraisers, have this really exciting literacy program with children's Lyme disease books. And last October we had a fundraiser right here in Torninos, and we were able to raise enough money to purchase 3 children's books for each elementary school in the Fresno and Clovis Unified District. The cool thing about these books right here are, one of them is bilingual. So those students that need that Spanish version, we have that for them right here in our Lyme disease books. I'm hoping to raise enough funds that we can start going out to the west side with this. We can start going out to other rural areas, that we can, you know, have Central Valley be the spark that it goes throughout the whole state of California. I think it's so important to create this education and awareness. And had I known back then, when my daughter was in 5th grade and the doctor said she's a medical mystery and someday we'll figure this out, what's wrong with her, had I known then about Lyme disease, I wouldn't be standing here today and talking to you about the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, because my daughter would still be here. So I think it's so important to make sure that we are educating our children, because children then can talk to their parents. Parents can talk to the doctors. I mean, it's a whole cycle, right? These books will have our logo inside of it, and that logo will have our website. So those individuals that are looking at this book and they need more information on Lyme disease, they can go to our website, where we have a whole slew of resources about Lyme disease. We can put people in touch with Lyme literate doctors, because that's one of the biggest problems as well. When you do have get a diagnosis of Lyme disease, where do you go? Well, when Alex got diagnosed, there wasn't anybody here local that knew about Lyme disease, or they thought, well, just give her 30 days of antibiotics and she'll be fine. I want that to change. There's enough amazing doctors here in the Central Valley that if we start doing CMEs and start getting them trained and Lyme literate, we don't have to go chasing across country to find help for our children and help for our loved ones. We can do it right here in the Central Valley. So I'm on a mission. I'm really excited about the growth that this foundation has had just in a short period of time. You know, talking about the Lyme books, this is very important to me. We're doing a lot of great work with other Lyme agencies throughout the country. Like I said, Global Lyme Alliance, we are partnering with them on our research grant. We also are working with the Live Lyme Foundation and some other great foundations. You know, there's strength in numbers, and our little foundation here has really made a name for itself nationwide, and I'm really excited about that. They're excited about what we are doing, and I just see that there's going to be a lot more, you know, wonderful things coming from this foundation. And again, it's just doing what Alex wanted me to do, and I think what any of you would do if you had a child pass away, you would want to create a legacy on their behalf. And so that's what I'm doing. And I think that's it. Are there any questions? Does anybody? Yes, sir.
First, I commend you on what you're doing. You're going at it from both the research side and the awareness side. I think about Alex and the awareness side of things, and you said if you'd known it at 5th grade, then she'd still be here and you wouldn't
Correct.
know what you're doing. What I'm wondering is, you mentioned that it becomes chronic at some point. It sounds to me like at that point it's like too late to do anything, but what can you do if you catch it early?
So if you catch it early, so for instance, say you know exactly when you got bit, okay? You want to make sure that you keep that tick, because you can send it off to IGenics and it can get tested and you can know right then and there the different co-infections that tick is carrying. So that's the first thing. Just don't discard it and, you know, flush it down the toilet. Hang on to that tick. Second thing is, if you do get yourself on a round of antibiotics and just monitor yourself, you should be okay. But again, it's just that monitoring, and it's just making sure that the minute that you think that you have been bit, to, you know, go right to treatment right away. And also just being aware of your body. I mean, that's what I tell everybody. You know, I just think that we all have to be advocates of our own body. You go to the doctor, you know that you're not feeling well. You know, if you think that you've been bit and you start getting those joint pains, that flu-like symptoms, you know that, hey, something's wrong with my body, and you start really monitoring it with your doctor, and make yourself and you know, partners with your doctor. But definitely be your own advocate, and don't take no for an answer. I mean, I did not take no for an answer when Alex was sick, but when they kept telling me she's a medical mystery, I didn't know what more to do. I mean, I tried as hard as I could, but yeah, I just never give up. Yes?
Jody, is this exclusive to ticks, or are there other insects that could be carriers of Lyme?
So there is some talk about mosquitoes carrying Lyme. That has been, we're still discovering so much about Lyme disease. I mean, I've encouraged from even 2017 to now how much more we have uncovered. But I think we're definitely going to be finding out a lot more about Lyme disease down the road with really great research and studies. But I have been hearing in the Lyme community about mosquitoes. I've also been hearing about in vitro, moms passing it to their children. That just came out right now on the CDC website, that sometimes we have conflicting information from the Lyme community and the CDC, but the CDC just did put on their website last week that Lyme disease can be passed from mother to child, so that's something that we need to be watching out for. I'm really encouraged, I don't know if any of you saw, but on December 20th of last year, actually Alex's birthday, the Tick Act was passed, and that was after Senator Hagan. So there's going to be $150 million that's going to be trickled down from the federal level to the state level. That's a start. I mean, you know, autism just got a couple $2 billion, so, you know, $150 million, it's a start, right? So I'm glad that they are at least acknowledging it. And then what the state can do with that money is do stuff like this. Get the doctors with ME training. There's so much that we can do, but I'm really encouraged that at least it's being acknowledged and people are really realizing that it's an epidemic. I mean, I don't want to startle people, but when you have Lyme disease now in every 50 states, you know that we need to come together and figure this out.
Have you given this talk to doctor meetings in the local hospitals?
I'm starting on that. In fact, there's not enough hours in the day. I think there should be 48 hours instead of 24 hours in a day, because I don't have time. And, you know, and I've got to work for a living too, so I'm trying to do all this on the side. So anyone that's out there listening that wants to help support me, my information's on those brochures. I'd love to have your help. But I did talk to the Department of Health here, Mr. Palmerville, and they are very encouraged by our work and what they are going to be doing. And what he promised me is they're going to be buying these books, these materials, so for back to school, the children will have them. They also are going to be putting on their website our website, so linking us together. And he's going to be talking to UCSF about doing the CME curriculum because he believes in it as well. So we're starting. So anybody out there with squeaky wheels, yeah, I would love it.
Ticks are the carriers, so they must get it from a host. I've often heard deer. Is it wild?
Deer.
What in the Central Valley do you figure is the host for Lyme?
So deer, I mean the deer ticks, you know, if you look in the brochures, we talk about prevention, that's the key. So I'm not saying don't go outside, don't enjoy yourself, but you just have to, just like with the mosquitoes here. You know, you put on bug spray before you go outside because you don't want to get bit by a mosquito. Same thing with ticks. When you go out into the wilderness, make sure that you are, you know, covering yourself, that you make sure that your, you know, pant leg, just simple things. Pant legs are tucked in, you don't have any exposed skin. When you do come in from the outside, you do a tick check head to toe, you take a shower, throw your clothes into the, you know, hot wash machine, just simple things like that. And make sure that, you know, you're educating your children on it. It's really easy, okay, you know, 1, 2, 3, let's do a quick tick check. It just becomes part of your daily routine. Simple steps like that can save a life.
Jody, the follow-up question I had was, do you know where or possibly when she contracted it?
You know, that's the $1 million question. That's what everybody asks me. And I'm thinking it was in Shaver, because we used to go to Shaver all summer long. And, you know, my daughter was a regular, you know, child. She was a tomboy. She loved being outdoors. I had to beg her to come inside, you know, at nighttime. I mean, she just loved being outside. She loved being out, you know, outdoors. And I know a lot of people here in the Central Valley, after I became public about this, that reached out to me, and they were bit up in around the Shaver area. But really, you could be bit outside. You could be gardening outside and there could be a tick. So I don't want you to walk away from this thinking, oh, I'm okay because, you know, I don't go up to the mountains or I'm not outside. Always just be looking around. Just be mindful.
Are the symptoms the only way you can find out, or is there a blood test? Or
So thank you for asking that question. If you do think that you have been bit and you go to your regular doctor, make sure that they do not test you on the Western blot, because that will always give you false negatives. Many people have Lyme disease and they go to their regular doctor and they have a blood test through the Western blot and they say, oh, it came back negative, I'm fine, but then they still have these symptoms. I and other people in the Lyme community, doctors and whatnot, swear by IGeneX in Palo Alto. That's where my daughter got tested. That is the most sophisticated testing. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover it, and it's about $1,000. But that is where you can get the most sophisticated type of testing, and it can like pinpoint all the different co-infections. Because you really need to know what your co-infections are, because again, each co-infection presents differently with different symptoms, and then you've got to start whittling down what's bothering your body the most, and then start with that one, and then whittle down the rest of them. But that's a good question.
20 years ago, I don't think any of us had heard of Lyme disease. Do you know, is this a new disease, or has it already existed, or is it a disease that is increasing? What's the history of it?
That's a really, really good question. So I think it is, a lot of people had Lyme disease 20, 30, 40 years ago, but they didn't know it was Lyme disease, right? They thought it was fibromyalgia. They thought it was some other autoimmune diseases. As we get better and more sophisticated with our testing, they're actually finding out that, oh, gosh, I've had Lyme disease for 30, 40 years and didn't even know that. There's a lot of great books out about Lyme disease. There's this book out right now that is called Bitten by Chris Newby, which it's controversial, but it talks a lot about government, and it talks about not chemical warfare, but you know that Lyme disease maybe was caused back in Connecticut with a political agenda. I don't know. I don't really care about that because I'm just trying to do my part here with education and awareness, but there's a lot of history on Lyme disease. But I think people nowadays are finding out that they have Lyme disease because of the testing, and that they are more aware about it. When you have Justin Bieber, I'm sorry to bring up his name, but when you have Justin Bieber saying that he has Lyme disease last week, I mean, it's good because people are now paying attention and thinking, oh wow, what's Lyme disease? And it's, the more they start doing research, then maybe some of those, you know, symptoms make sense for them. But yeah, it's interesting how it's kind of playing out right now.
What's it like to be bitten by a tick? How do you know?
So everyone reacts differently. Some, like I said, 35% of the people that are bitten by a tick will get a bullseye rash on their, wherever that point of the bite was. Some people, there's a gal here in Fresno that I know very well. She was one of the first ones that I reached out to when my daughter was diagnosed with Lyme. She remembers specifically at Shaver when she was bit, because 15 minutes after she was bit, she started having convulsions. I mean, it came on just like that. Her husband had to carry her to bed. She was violently ill all night long. So it's like all of our bodies are different, right? Everyone's going to react differently. Some people might not even realize that they've been bit, so it's different for everybody. But the telltale sign, they say, for 35% of the people is the bullseye rash.
Are there instances of people who are asymptomatic for a long time and then have late onset, or what do you know about
God, you're so smart. Yes, that's a great question. He used to be my boss, so I'm still trying to like throw him points here every so often.
There will be a raise for you later.
So it's like cancer cells. We're all, we have all these cells in our bodies. And I believe that we all have, I don't want to say Lyme disease cells in our body, but there's certain stressors, there's certain triggers where you could be latent with Lyme disease, not realize that you have it, and then a major stress will come along in your life. You lose your job, you death in the family, whatever, and then it releases. So I really believe that, the mind, body, all that stuff works together, and it can release your symptoms. It can magnify your symptoms even more. Absolutely. And again, I'm not a doctor, so dear God, do not run to your doctor and say, hey, this woman said blah, blah, blah. But I'm just trying to tell you what I know from my experience.
So I spent a lot of time in central Missouri. And I mean, you get bit by a tick a week. And I mean, so just because you get bit by a tick doesn't mean you're going to get
Lyme disease. Correct. Right. So, and that's what I said, not every tick is a dirty tick, meaning carrying those co-infections. That's why before, when this gentleman was saying about, with a tick and what you do, make sure that you hang on to that tick, because it can be tested and you can find out if it's carrying Lyme disease or not.
Does it cost $5,000 to get the tick tested?
That I think is cheaper. I think maybe that's only a couple $100, but I don't know. I should be over there at Igenics setting up another shop and making money.
I happen to be a doctor. I am a retired cancer specialist.
God bless you. Thank you.
I've seen a lot of tropical diseases from India when I was going through the training. And I have, almost 50 years ago in New York, as a hematology fellow, I've seen a couple of cases I can recall, which are diagnosed as Rocky Mountain spotted fever, which are similar background. They call it tick-borne fever.
Yeah.
And subsequently developed hematology complications, which I got involved, like the bleeding disorders. So there are gone by so many diseases. They all are clustered as rickettsial diseases, and a lot of them have similar pattern. At that time, we did not know about the immunologic problem. They can develop subsequently years later.
Yeah.
So now we're finding out more and more of that. It's a good review that you gave, and it should help. And I think you should start educating some of the doctors who might not have seen those.
I want to so badly, so maybe you and I can chat later and you can tell me who I can start working with. Because we have to get to the doctors. I mean, Alex's doctors when she was in 5th grade, I love them, good men, so I don't blame them at all. But we were just all ignorant. We just didn't know about Lyme disease, right?
The eyes don't see what the mind doesn't know.
Right. And that's why I say, always be your own advocate. When you know that there's something wrong with your body, you just keep fighting and fighting for those answers. Anybody else?
Kids' activities are generally quite different from adults. Can I assume that adults are just as subject to Lyme disease as
They
kids
are. You know what? Lyme disease, it doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your sex, doesn't matter your ethnicity. Now, granted, that was a good point that you said about the children and their activity. Right now, I can tell you there's this horrific statistics that 2 school buses of children a day are diagnosed with Lyme disease, just because kids are so much more active and outside. So that's why it's so important as parents, doing this tick check when they come in from outside, up and down, just making sure, feeling their body, making sure that they don't have any, bumps or anything raised. Ticks, do you know the size of a tick, how small they are? Yeah. They're like a poppy seed. I mean, there was that horrible social media thing that went on about a year ago from CDC talking about, showing a poppy seed muffin and describing that's the size of a tick, and obviously that's the size of a small little tick, but they're really small. So that's why it's hard sometimes to determine that you even have one on your body, but that's why we say it's important to do the tick checks.
So it's said that when you're around for mosquitoes, when you're around pools of water or there's excess moisture in the air or whatever, you're going to have more mosquitoes. Is that the same with ticks?
No, it's more the shrubs, bushes, woods, that type of thing. But again, when I say that, I don't want you to think, okay, I can just walk outside and I'm going to be okay. I mean, blades of grass and everything too. They're smart. They're smart little creatures. So
the reason why I asked that is I remember when the tornadoes hit the New Orleans area, I don't know how many years back, there was the father of some friends that we knew out of Madeira who through that process ended up with Lyme's disease and passed away. And I wondered if it was the water or what was it that was significant about them being in that tornado situation.
The debris, who knows? Yeah. There's, like I said, we've come a long way just from 2017 to today, and 2 years from now, we're gonna know a lot more. And just this thing that came out from the CDC about, mothers with, that's pretty alarming. So there's gotta be testing now done with pregnancy and all that to test for Lyme disease with newborn children. So it's crazy, but I thank you so much for letting me talk today. It's always a pleasure to get out and share Alex's story and just to educate you even more. And again, my information's on the brochure, so if anybody wants to reach out to me later and have any doctors that you want me to chat with, I'm happy to do that. So thank you.
Jody, that was an inspirational and a great talk from the heart. And I've known Jody for a long time, and she's a very special lady. Anyway, Dr. Pat, who you conversed with, he always buys a book for our speaker every week, and we donate it to the Lowell School Library. So the book he chose for you, I hope it's appropriate, it's Bugs. Another hand for Jody and a great